This is a big moment. This is a big moment. The most famous living musician from Tupelo, super welterweight, Paul Thorn.
Wow, that's a really nice introduction. Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
You know, I generally speaking have more research, but I realized from having interviewed you in the past that I can just toss up a softball and you just go on for a while.
Well,
So,
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. Of course, Paul is so popular in our town that he doesn't do like a show at Knuckleheads. He does a weekend. And so you're going to be able to catch Paul Friday, Saturday, and unfortunately Sunday, already sold out. So it's always a great time when you play Knuckleheads, and you've got to have some great affection for that club.
I really love that place. I started out playing there. You know, I was an opening act. I don't remember who it was, but I was, low man on a totem pole. We kept coming back, and over time, it's grown into a really nice place for me to come play. And the people are really nice too.
You know, the new record is it's been out for a little while, and we always want new music. As soon as we get one, we start wanting the next one.
It's an ADD nation.
Yeah, so get busy. But the most recent was Too Blessed to Be Stressed, and it is such an interesting record because it's like positive anthems.
That's exactly what it is. The title, the song Too Blessed to Be Stressed itself, that came from a lady I went to church with when I was a kid, Sister Johnson. When you would greet her at Sunday school and ask her how she was doing, she would say, "I'm too blessed to be stressed," like that. And that stuck in my head all these years, and it was the foundation of an album of all positive songs that's intentionally written to make people feel good, because there's a lot of there's enough tear-jerking records out right now.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do something happy like Kool and the Gang used to do.
When I was thinking about that and the church lady, it was sort of like, well, that's such a smart thing to say, but it's easy to say it. It's the implementation of that, that really is the secret.
Well, everybody has problems in life, and we tend to dwell on those more than anything else. But if you weigh it out in the balance, usually there's more good in your life than there is bad.
You mentioned church, and quite famously, your father is a Pentecostal minister, mm-hmm. and your uncle is a pimp, and they both took you under their wings. That's
right. I grew up around my uncle, who was, when I use the word pimp, a lot of people, I don't think they understand what that really is. My uncle had about 5 or 6 ladies at all time that was selling their bodies and giving him the money. And I don't glorify that, and he don't glorify it either. It was something he did in his past, and he's ashamed of it, because looking back, he was exploiting these girls. But the good thing about it and hanging around my uncle is I learned about the dark side of life. I learned that nobody's all good and nobody's all bad. And he gave me some coping skills to survive in the real world, because I had a pretty sheltered life in the church,
Your life was so sheltered that you weren't allowed to have secular music.
That's right. I was not allowed to have rock and roll records, because they told us that was the devil music, and they said if we played it backwards, we would hear these satanic messages, and I kept playing it backwards. I didn't hear nothing but blah, 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 and that didn't tell me anything. And
but you did hide a couple records.
Yeah, I went to the skating rink one night. Well, let me rephrase. I snuck to the skating rink because we weren't allowed to go skating, because everybody knows that skating rinks
You're just a bad boy.
Well, anybody with sense knows that skating rinks are where all the satanic worshipers gather. And so, and anybody with any sense knows that. But I snuck in there. And I was skating around, and the DJ said, back then they used to play actual LPs in the disc jockey booth, and while people were skating, and the guys that was spinning the record said, anybody who can guess this next record, who the artist is, you will win the LP. And they played Huey Lewis and the News, Do You Believe in Love? And I recognized it because I had been Another thing I'm ashamed of. I've been sneaking and listening to the radio too. I mean, I'm going to hell for so
Paul,
many
I got to
things.
stop you right
I
there.
don't
You
know
are
where to
being
start.
interviewed on the radio, so
What?
you cannot be ashamed to listen to it.
Okay.
I mean, I hate to do that to you, but
I'm
there are
just
some
saying,
parameters here.
But I know, but I'm gonna try to do better in the future. But I took this record I won, and I stuck it under my coat, and I snuck it in the house, and I hid it in the closet. And when my parents were away, I would listen to it. And what's really strange and bizarre is years later in my career, I actually met Huey, and we do shows together. You know, we all over the country. Sometimes I'll open up for Huey and them, but I found out that most of the rock records are not satanic.
So was he aware that he was doing the devil's work?
He wasn't, but I told him later that he needed to quit singing that devil music.
And his reaction?
He said he would think about it.
Well, we would like to hear, we would like to be blessed by some of your music.
Well, I can't guarantee that. I can't guarantee you'll be blessed, but I guarantee I can sing a song.
All right.
But this one's really special to me because I have a friend who's a police officer, and a couple weeks ago he told me that they did a SWAT team invasion of this trailer back in the country where they suspected they were cooking crystal meth. And sure enough, when they busted the door down, they were cooking crystal meth. And the people who were cooking the meth was listening to a Paul Thorn CD while they was cooking. So anyway, I feel honored that the meth people have accepted me. And this is one of the songs they really like. I used to know a drug dealer. His name was Billy Jack. The Mexican cartel cut his head off, and he ain't coming back. God knows I sure miss my buddy. He had some killer pot. This old stray dog and Jesus are all the friends I've got. The pain pill jar is empty. My wild Irish rose is gone. But I found a tube of model airplane glue, and I'm getting my buzz on. Why is everybody judging me when the good book says judge not? This old stray dog and Jesus are all the friends I've got. I've never felt so lonely. I've never been so blue. My world keeps getting smaller. It's down to the chosen few. Well, I have not lost everything, but I sure have lost a lot. This old stray dog and Jesus are all the friends I've got. The glory road, recovery home, is where I now reside. They gave me a King James Bible and a sack of Purina's Pride. There's a smoking section by a dead oak tree at the back of the parking lot. This old stray dog and Jesus are all the friends I've got. I've never felt so lonely. I've never been so blue. My world keeps getting smaller. It's down to the chosen few. Well, I have not lost everything, but I sure have lost a lot. This old stray dog and Jesus are all the friends I've got. Sad story.
Paul Thorn in our studios. You can find out more at paulthorn.com. And of course, he's going to be over Knuckleheads tomorrow, Saturday, and unfortunately Sunday already sold out. But there are a lot of folks who already are lucky enough to have some tickets. But a 3-day mini marathon for Paul Thorn over at Knuckleheads. This all kind of started for you at the age of 3 years old.
Yep. My dad being a minister, when I was 3 years old and started learning how to sing songs like Jesus Loves Me and all that kind of stuff, I'd get up in front of the congregation and I would sing. And so I'm really used to it. And a lot of people who have, butterflies when they get on stage, I don't, because that's all I've ever done. So it's normal to me to be gawked at,
People say gospel music, it's sort of like, well, what kind?
Uh-huh.
And you got all kinds.
Yeah. Well, growing up, I grew up in the same hometown of Elvis Presley, Tupelo, and he and I have one thing in common is growing up. When I was growing up, they had two types of churches. They had churches where the black people attended, and they had churches where the white people attended. And the black people had a different style of worship. Their music was really rhythm and blues and had like an R&B feel to it. And at the white churches back then, they sang like country western gospel. And those two environments really molded my style. Even though I'm not a gospel singer, and there's a lot of gospel influence. Yeah.
Right, but different kinds. It kind of makes you unique.
Yeah. It's Elvis Presley. He really maximized that whole thing, and he was, became one of the most famous people who ever lived.
You've referenced your dad a lot, and I have too. And if you go to your website, there's a CD of your mom and dad doing gospel music that you can buy.
Yeah, when my parents got married, it was a different time. My mom when they got married, she was 15 and he was 17, and my father started not just preaching but pastoring a church at the age of 17.
Wow.
And my mom plays accordion and guitar, and my dad plays mandolin, and they've had this duet that they've done for over 60 years. And for the first time, I recently recorded them. And anybody who likes old school traditional gospel with no bells and whistles, just raw and to the bone, this new record by my parents is fantastic.
Isn't it funny that, it's like you grew up hiding records from them, and now, you do your own artwork for your albums. And, your album artwork, correct me if I'm wrong here, but your album artwork has featured both Jesus and the devil.
Yeah, well,
And it's on your website now. Yeah. Your parents' gospel music is too.
Yeah, well, I draw I draw my album covers, most of them.
Yeah,
and in all my drawings, I usually put something that represents God or looks like God, and then I'll put something else in there that looks like the devil. And I always draw them the traditional way with the horns and and all that and the tail and everything, but. I don't know if I don't even believe in that as they describe it. I think to me the devil is just bad vibes and bad energy and anything that's just not good to be around. To me, that's the devil. It could be your next door neighbor,
So have you and your parents kind of found a place to coexist around music?
Well, they in their, they live in a different world. They're completely church people, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they would, I guess, if they had their wish and they could push a button about me, it would be that I would be a preacher and sing gospel music. But I just, that's not who I am now. I still have a respect and an admiration for that experience, but I'm not saying I'm better. I'm just saying I've moved beyond it, and I've experienced other things that's made it impossible for me to completely buy into everything I grew up around.
Still, you're gonna have 3 days in a row of making people feel good and spreading a message out of Knuckleheads this weekend.
Yeah,
so.
It's good. Coming to my show is like going to church with a bottle of Crown Royal in your purse.
Something I've done many times.
You can sneak out to the bathroom and get a little snort and come back, and the preaching will sound better.
Well, I'll tell you what sounds great today is you playing and singing, and
Yeah?
we sure love that. Can we get another song?
Yeah, I want to sing a song right here. This song was inspired by, I had a conversation with my mom on the telephone one time, and she was just, when I said, how you doing? She said, well, I'm okay, I guess. I just need a little rest. And I wrote that down for some reason, and then after I got off the phone with her, I just sat down and I wrote other things I've heard her say that touched my heart, and I strung her words together and I made this song. It's every word in this song is a word my mother has said. I just made the music. Thank you, I'm okay, I guess. I just need a little rest. I'll catch up on my sleep tonight. I ain't complaining, that's life. I've got blueberries in the yard. I bought 100 mason jars. I'm gonna pick them when they're ripe. Another season, that's life. Wipe that tear out of your eye. Behind the clouds, the sun still shines. You're in my prayers every night. Enjoy the journey, that's life. There's a touch of fall in the wind. I can't wait till you come back again. You're the brightest star in my sky. I wish you could stay, that's life. I know it's time for you to go. Here's a sandwich for the road. It's always hard to say goodbye. Ain't that the truth? That's life. Wipe that tear out of your eye. Behind the clouds, the sun still shines. You're in my prayers every night. Enjoy the journey, that's life. Thank you.
Paul Thorn in our studio said, that was quite lovely. You know, it's like you go from like this, you go from these crazy, you know, wacky, funny, hilarious things to like the touching, the heartfelt. You're kind of the complete package over there.
Well, my greatest influence as an entertainer is, people they shocked when I say this, but it was Dean Martin.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up watching Dean Martin. Our TV didn't have but 2 channels, black and white, and it was a black and white TV. We picked up 2 channels, and one of the shows I remember watching when I was a kid was Dean Martin.
Yeah.
And he had the variety hour. Remember that?
Right, sure do.
And what I liked about him was and how I was influenced by him was he was a great singer, and he would stand right in front of the camera and he would sing a song, and then between songs he would tell a little funny joke, or he would like pretend he was drunk, and you know, he would look right into the camera, and he would make the person watching the TV feel like he was talking specifically to them, and he was mesmerizing. I couldn't take my eyes off of him, and now that I'm a grown man, I ordered his the complete Dean Martin box set, and I watch it, and I pick up tips.
Wow.
From him, because even though my music is nothing like his, I try to make my approach like his, because to me he was probably the best entertainer overall, in my opinion. And I like to learn from people that's better than me.
So, did you know when you were going to do this?
Huh?
How old were you when you knew that this is what you wanted to do?
Well, I always wanted to do it, but, wanting to do something and being able to do something, it takes time.
You started writing songs at 12.
Yeah, I started writing songs at 12.
Big moment, ninth grade, Lionel Richie.
Yeah, I'm dyslexic, and I had a hard time in school, and my confidence wasn't very high, but I got in the ninth grade talent show, and I sang Lionel Richie's 3 Times a Lady, and I won first place, and I went from being a social outcast to being the most desired boy on the playground. And so
that's never really left you.
I had all the girls. I didn't know what to do with them, but I had them all lined up. And I just couldn't even think anything to say once they showed up.
Wow. Girls have this, it's like just music is not, music would not be the same if it wasn't for that, right?
For girls?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Everything any kind of competition a man gets in it, boxing, singing, anything, whether we realize it or not, men competes to get the female.
Yeah.
They do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I knew my wife in grade school, but I had to wait for her vision to go.
Well, you get it however you can get it.
You brought up boxing, and I've interviewed you a couple of times, and I just hate to go back over ground that we've already covered. And I laughed so hard when we talked about it, but I had not done this before. I actually went online and watched your boxing match with Roberto Duran. You had close to 50 fights. When you fought Duran, you were 23 years old. At that point, you were 13-2 with like 8 knockouts. And you really held your own.
Yeah, well, when I fought Roberto Duran, like I said, at that time, I'd only had 15 fights, and he was already a 4-time world champion who had he was a destroyer. The thing I remember about that fight is, what made him so much better than the other guys I had fought is it wasn't his punching power, because I fought a lot of guys that hit hard. What really made him special was he was incredibly hard to hit. He was such an underrated defensive wizard. I mean, his head would like be right here, and I said, okay, all I got to do is this. But when I would throw my punch, he would move slightly out of the way and make me miss. That he had the gift. And when you're in a boxing match and you can't hit your other opponent, and you can't hit your opponent, it's very hard to win.
So was there a moment in the bout where you thought this might not be a good idea?
No, I went in there. I came in to win. I trained hard, and the fight got stopped because after the 6th round, I had a horrific cut on my eye.
Yeah. And
my lip was split so badly, it was horrific. And the doctor stopped it because of a cut. But
yeah, you were still in the fight.
I was very much in the fight.
Absolutely.
In fact, what was sad is when they stopped it, I was actually getting better in the fight. The first couple rounds of the fight, I was so intimidated and nervous, I kind of just waited on him, which was the right thing to do. My strategy when I went in there, my uncle said, do not go to him because he is a counterpuncher. And what a counterpuncher is someone who waits till you come in and they hit you while you're coming in. And so the first couple rounds, even though I was doing the right fight plan out of fear, I got impatient. And my ego got in it. And after a couple rounds of us both waiting on each other, I said to myself, I'm just going to go in there and show him what a badass I am. And, but just like my uncle said, when I started moving forward, he started pot-shotting me, man. And then, he knocked me down in the 2nd round. But if you'll watch the tape, I mean, the second my butt hit the ground, I immediately jumped up because I wasn't hurt. He just caught me when I had my feet twisted. But he legitimately knocked me down. But once I got up, I said, I'm gonna lay into this man, and I'm gonna try to beat him. But he was the better man. He had more experience than me, and he's arguably one of the best of all time. And I'm just glad I got to get in there and give it a try.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating to watch, and particularly when you come to you first through your music and then to realize that that's in the background. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Still-
Well, actually, if you watch the video, there's a guy that kind of looks like me, only shorter, and that's my uncle. My uncle that was the pimp, he was actually my trainer. And you know, I give him a lot of credit because, you know, he took a, you know, we lived in Tupelo, Mississippi. We didn't have a world-class gym with world-class sparring partners. We had a heavy bag hung on a tree limb. and we
Which, by the way, does not hit back quite the same way that Roberto Duran does.
You know, but that being said, he trained me well enough and helped me enough that I was, even though I couldn't beat Roberto Duran, I got to a level where I could even get in the ring with him because, you know, everybody knows me for losing against Duran, but what people don't realize is I had to beat a lot of good fighters to get that opportunity.
Right.
So as far as boxing goes, after I lost to Duran, I had 3 more fights, and I won all of them, but it got to a point where I realized that in a sport like boxing, being good is not, unless you're great like Duran, there's no real productive reason to stay in it because it's just you're just gonna wind up getting hurt in the long run. And
you know, you're just such an interesting path. I mean, and I don't know if this started before or right after, but you made chairs for 12 years.
Well, yeah, while I was boxing / writing songs, I hadn't made enough in my career to support myself. So during all that time, I was working in a furniture factory, building sofas and love seats and recliners, and but that's how I paid my bills. And but when I wasn't working, I was pursuing these other things. But one thing that I told my daughter, who's 22 now, at a certain point, I started weaning her off of my funding. And now she's been paying her own bills for 2 years.
Congratulations!
And she's productive, and she's strong, and she's doing good. And I don't believe in giving anybody an unreasonable struggle, but they need a reasonable struggle, and that's what I gave my children. And because that's what. Well, I don't know. I think some of my struggle was unreasonable, but you know, but
it gave you songs.
But it gave me songs, and it taught me diligence and discipline, and you have to go forward and keep moving even when you don't want to sometimes.
You know, I'm sure that making chairs may not have been the first thing that you thought of as your highest calling. No. They always say, like, if you like donuts, don't go to work in the donut shop. And this may be the oddest question I've ever asked, but how do you feel about chairs now?
I like to sit in them. I think they're really comfortable, some of them. And
I mean, are you judgmental about them? Oh, that's not a good chair.
No. My job in the furniture factory was a very specific job. It was on assembly line. My job was to put the springs in the seats. So anytime you sit down and the chair feels good, it goes, boing, boing, boing. There's a good chance I did it.
Yeah. You were responsible for
That's
the
right.
boing, boing.
That's right. That's right.
So you actually got discovered by Miles Copeland.
Yeah. Miles Copeland he's Stuart Copeland's brother, who's the drummer in the Police.
Right.
And he was the manager of the Police. And when I was working in a factory / writing songs / boxing, I also had this gig playing 2 nights a week in a pizza restaurant, just me and my guitar. And they paid me $50 a night. And back in that time, that was like an extra $100 a week. I was living large, you know. And so I was in there playing, and I had been sending out my cassettes to just whoever would listen. And this is a bizarre story, but Miles Copeland was in France having a meal with Cher and Sting. And this guy who worked for Miles had been trying to get him to listen to my tape, and he just wouldn't listen to it. And so while Cher and Sting and Miles was eating a meal, this guy stuck the cassette on the player, and I wasn't there, but as they told me it happened, Cher said, "What is this? I like it." And then Miles finally listened to it because, somebody else said they liked it. And then he started liking my songs. And then the next thing I know, Miles flew to Tupelo, Mississippi to hear me play in a pizza restaurant. The night I played, I saw this guy sitting in the corner, and he was listening to me. He looked out of place, and then he came up to me and said, "Man, I like your songs." And he said, to make a long story short, they offered me a record deal, and they wanted to give me money so I could quit my day job. So all of it happened just like that. And so I quit the factory and everything, and then let's see what was happening. Yeah, and then when I quit my job, within 2 weeks of quitting my job, first of all, let me say, I told you, no, I didn't tell you, I couldn't go to concerts when I was growing up too. That was one of the things, the secular concerts.
Right.
So the first concert I ever attended in my entire life, I was opening for Sting. That's right. That's right.
Wow.
I had no band. It was just me and my guitar, and people say to me, they say, "Paul, weren't you nervous?" But go back to what I said. I've been in front of people since I was 3 years old, so I felt no anxiety. I just walked out there. I said, "Hey, y'all, I'm Paul Thorn." I sang for 30 minutes, and got off the stage. I got a big round of applause, and then it just kind of went from there. What happened is I got this. What happened is the tour I did with Sting went really well, and the word of mouth went around through the business that there was this guy with an acoustic guitar that could hold a crowd's attention for no matter how big the crowd was. And so the next thing I know, Bonnie Raitt heard about me. She wanted me to do some shows with her, so I did these shows with Bonnie Raitt. And then the guitar player, Jeff Beck, was looking for an opening act. And so I started getting all these opening slots. But what was actually happening, I was building an audience and didn't even realize it, because a lot of these people who were coming to see the headliner liked me enough that when I came back into the town, 6 months later, some of them would come back to see me do my own show. And so now I've built it up to 3 nights at Knuckleheads. That's right. That's right.
Now, hopefully Frank's paying you more than $50 a night.
Oh yeah. Things are looking up, man. I go to Cracker Barrel. I don't even look at the prices. I just say I want that and that and that. That's right.
One of the things that one of the things that I just wanted to say, and you can comment on this if you want to, you don't have to. And sometimes artists get a little bit uncomfortable when you're complimenting them. But one of the things that I think is tough for you, I know you have a lot of respect for John Prine, and I often think the same thing of Prine. He's got so much humor in his songs that sometimes he doesn't get as much credit for the depth and for the musicianship of not only himself but the band that he travels with. Mm-hmm. And you've got a great band.
Thank you. I'm really proud of them. That's another thing I'm proud of is the band I'm with right now. We have been together for over 20 years. And, I know how hard it is to keep a band together because personality conflicts and, egos get involved. But I'm very thankful that I've had the same guys for over 20 years, and we're the same guys that's going to be playing at Knuckleheads,
So do you still have your punch?
Yes. When you're a boxer and your skills start to erode, the first thing that leaves is your legs, your ability to move around. And usually the next thing that leaves is your chin, because you get hit so much and then there's something that snaps and all of a sudden you can't take a punch anymore. So my legs are gone and my chin is gone, but I can fight really well as long as I don't get hit.
Yeah. So maybe that's why the band's still together after 20 years, right? I mean, you've been able to keep them in line.
Well, they knew right off the bat I could whoop them, so they've never contested it.
We'd love to hear another song if we could, Paul.
Okay. All right. I want to sing this one. We all struggle with addictions of some sort, and mine is I like to eat sweets late at night. And lately my poison of choice is Hostess Ho-Hos. They're these chocolate things with cream in the middle of them. And but I noticed they come in a box of 10, and ho-hos, I notice when I'm eating them now, they're not as big as they used to be. They're just hoes. And so if you eat 2 ho-hos, it's just like one. But anyway, that's my weakness. And whatever your weakness is, listeners out there in radio and TV land, here's a song that lets you know I not only sympathize, I empathize. Na, na, na. Na, 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 na. Deep down I wanna be a good man. I make new resolutions every day. I start off with the best of intentions till my lack of follow-through gets in the way. Oh, I sin on Saturday, I repent on Sunday, then I tell myself I won't procrastinate on Monday. Tuesday I do like I should, Wednesday I do pretty good, Thursday Paul drops the ball and I backslide on Friday. Na na na, na na na, na 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 na. I'm always planning for the future. I've set some lofty goals inside my mind. Someday soon I'll put the wheels in motion, but right now I can't seem to find the time. Oh, I sin on Saturday, I repent on Sunday, then I tell myself I won't procrastinate on Monday. Tuesday I do like I should, Wednesday I do pretty good, Thursday Paul drops the ball and I backslide on Friday. Na na na, na na na, na 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 na. I have unlimited potential. Mama said that I was born to win. My picture's on her refrigerator. She's hoping I won't let her down again. Oh, I sin on Saturday, I repent on Sunday, then I tell myself I won't procrastinate on Monday. Tuesday I do like I should, Wednesday I do pretty good, Thursday Paul drops the ball and I backslide on Friday. Na na na, na 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 na. That's it.
That's all we get.
That's all.
Well, I'm sorry if we've emptied the bucket on you today.
No, it's all good.
Yeah. Paul Thorn, that track, correct me if I'm wrong, that's from To Bless.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, positive anthems, we'll circle back to the beginning. Positive anthems doesn't mean that you're in denial of the difficulties of life.
No, it's just all my songs, like that song Backslide on Friday, it's, if we can't laugh at ourselves, we can't laugh, and I think everybody that hears that song, whatever their struggle is and whatever they're doing wrong that they can't seem to quit, they can sing along with it.
This is the most serious interview that I've ever done with you, and this is, I think, the third one. And so it's kind of silly, but you're creating community every time you go on stage, and it's really amazing to watch. It's so much fun to be a part of. And I think that that's why people keep coming back, because they recognize themselves in what you do and what you say, and they laugh. They also recognize the more serious messages that you put out there. That's a pretty good definition for an artist, and we're honored to have you in the studio today.
Well, thank you for saying that. It's a pleasure to be here. And one of the things that I learned from my father, the minister, he said there's a difference, son, between preaching and ministering. Preaching is just yelling. He said ministering is getting through to them and letting them know that you understand and that you're there for them, because, when I do a show, the show ain't for me, it's for them. They bought a ticket to see me, and it's my obligation and my responsibility to lift their spirits up and make them all want to get together once a year, and it's a good thing.
Now, I've also read that God has told you, with you just being the messenger, you're not
Yeah.
responsible for this.
No.
But that if people do not buy a ticket to your show, that they might burn in hell.
That's true. Yeah, you know, God, I'm not God, but he speaks through me. So whatever I say, just accept it as absolute truth, because it's not me talking. But
Right.
anyway, he tells me all the time to tell everybody, like today, this is on the radio, right? Kansas City, a big city, right?
Yes, you could
All right.
save a lot of people today.
You know, I could, because if the people are listening to this and they within the sound of my voice, and they know that I got 3 nights, and they don't come to either one of them, there is a place for those people. It's the lake of fire, known as hell.
Say hallelujah.
That's it. That's right.
Paul Thorn. Yeah, this has been great fun.
Thank you so much, and I'm glad that I got to be part of this great show.
And we'll see you with Knuckleheads all weekend long.
We'll see.
Paul Thorn on the bridge.